Your family budget, your ability to fill up your tank, none of it should hinge on whether a dictator declares war and commits genocide in half a world away.
President Biden talking about the war in Ukraine as he visited Iowa today, also talking about inflation
and Putin's price hike, hashtag, there you
happening. But the war still goes on. Day 48, thousands of lives have been lost. Blood is being shed as we speak. We've seen cities, Leland, that have been completely decimated. There is, you have to wonder how they will rebuild, right? There is just nothing left. You look at Mariupol, the atrocities that happened in Bucha. We want to share some new video with you tonight that also requires a warning yet again. This is bodies of a family that were found in a bullet-ridden car. This is near Kyiv, the capital city, and you can see people looking on, Ukrainian forces investigating exactly what went down here. Yet again, a horrible scene. It happened in March, according to authorities there, but this video was just released today. This car was draped, by the way, in white flags and then inscribed with the words, children. So a family shot to death. This is just one of many, many instances. Where were they going? Were they trying to escape? What had they already endured when this happened in March?
Yeah, the word the president used is interesting, was genocide, which now continues sort of this ramp up of rhetoric by President Biden. Clearly, so far, as you point out, Vladimir Putin could care less in terms of what the words were used. Joining us now, retired Marine Intelligence Officer Hal Kempfer. Hal, what do you make tomorrow of this meeting? A bunch of the U.S. weapons makers who are supplying everything we've heard of, the Javelins, the Stingers, and the like, are meeting at the Pentagon. Are we to believe at some point there's going to be a supply and demand issue, that the Ukrainians are demanding things that the U.S. can't supply?
Well, Leland, it might be an interesting meeting because of the contractors involved. You know, Raytheon and other major defense contractors are going to be there. They have some systems, particularly drones and some other things, that could be potentially introduced. You know, the Predator aircraft's been around for over 20 years. That's one of the systems that could potentially be out there. The interesting thing that I heard today was the Mi-17 helicopters, the Russian helicopters possibly being moved over. You know, we've been seeing ground assets like T-72s, BMPs being moved. Now, for the first time, we're seeing an air asset. And the language is getting such, those MiGs might be back on the table, and they may end up getting moved here, you know, maybe next week or sometime soon.
Hal, this clearly didn't go as Vladimir Putin had planned. One headline today, Putin purges 150 agents in response to the botched war in Ukraine. Time and time again, he has found himself backed into a corner. His forces not able to continue pushing forward. 48 days into this, what more, though, do we know tonight than we did at the start of this about Putin's ultimate objectives and goals, which he says he is still focused on tonight and not relenting?
Well, Marnie, what he's done is he's kind of fallen back. He wants to take those heavy ethnic Russian provinces, the Donbass region, you know, Crimea, probably that land bridge, but this is a fallback position. He thought he was going to do a kind of a reverse of 2014, and the FSB, his intelligence service for that area, had obviously fed him, you know, happy information in his mind that they were just going to go in and decapitate the government and roll over and accomplish this stuff. It didn't happen. Not surprisingly, part of that was also due to that endemic Russian corruption problem, where funding, money that was supposed to go to bribe officials and stuff, got pocketed and all sorts of things. But the assumptions are wrong, and he's frustrated. The fear is he stable? That's what everybody's wondering.
What do you make of the situation, and is it significant? In his nightly video address to the nation tonight, the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky proposed that Russia could win Viktor Medvedchuk's freedom by trading Ukrainians now held in Russian prison. Of course, he is a Russian oligarch. He's close to President Putin. How significant is this as you hear peace talks dead end?
I thought it was an interesting thing. It says a lot about the Ukrainian intelligence service, that they were able to find him, track him down. He's a good bargaining chip. I'm sure they're going to try and get as much intelligence out of him as they can. I don't know how much intelligence value he really is, but he's a very good bargaining chip. He's close to Putin, very close to Putin, and they might be able to use him for trading prisoners, something else. But I thought it was an interesting development, but it says a lot, and I've been watching this throughout. The Ukrainian intelligence service has just been doing a really good job. And of course, there's tremendous intelligence sharing between that service and the Western intelligence services. And they're really overcoming, a lot of the Russian superiority in terms of armor and stuff through better targeting and a lot of other things, which goes right back to intelligence.
All right, retired Marine Intelligence Officer Hal Kempfer. Hal, thank you. Appreciate it. I'm interested in terms of this meeting tomorrow at the Pentagon, how much of the weapon systems that the U.S. has left to give the Ukrainians. You can produce a couple of thousand Javelin missiles a year. The Ukrainians are using them at hundreds per day. At some point, the math is going to stop working, and the United States is going to have to make some very tough decisions about how much of our stockpiles we're able to deplete just for the Ukrainians versus confronting the Chinese, helping the Israelis. There's other places that war must be fought and troops must be ready.
It's a great point. I agree with you 100% there. The other thing that I'm watching, Leland, is the investigation into whether chemical weapons were used in Mariupol and how that escalates the situation, because you heard the president use the term genocide today. We've also heard others in Congress and with the federal government say that if chemical weapons were used, our allies and the United States will not stand by. So does this change or prompt a different global response? How many more atrocities do they have to carry out before we see something change? 48 days in, it just keeps getting worse and worse.
It keeps getting worse and worse. And the one thing that has stayed constant since the day that you and I sat here and this war began is a clear red line that there will not be U.S. involvement from the administration. So there we are. All right.
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.